Thank you. Borders. Who here believes that borders exist? Raise your hands. How do I go to Google Chrome on this shit? Okay. Yeah. Very strange keyboard.
It's a German Mac, what do you expect?
Yeah. And now, hopefully, okay. Do you see them? Does anyone here see the borders? Do you think they exist in reality, or is just an idea in your head that you accept because you were born and borders were already there? Who here thinks that pink is for girls and blue is for boys? There's no reason why pink is for girls and blue is for boys, apart from the fact that we accept that this is our reality. And this is what I want to talk to you about, ideas. What are ideas? Ideas like capitalism, or money, or even the idea of having a house, of having a car, going to work, having a mortgage with a bank that you have to pay every month. It is enslaving us. These are ideas that we are born with and we don't really understand. But someone invented them, someone in the past. And what happened before can happen again. And it is happening again. And it can happen again to ourselves. We usually follow some cycles in our lives. Don't know if you ever noticed, but you maybe fall in love with the same type of person, and then there is arguments, and then you fall in love, and then you don't fall in love anymore, you divorce, and there's all this drama, and you do it again and again and again, because you don't stop this cycle. And there's the same also with our civilization. When I say our civilization, I mean human civilization, humans, our existence. We live with these types of illusions. And one of these illusions is capitalism or communism or whatever way that socio-economic people invented us to live by. But it's not our choice. Then we can go into choice, because if you believe in science, then choice isn't something that you can take for granted. Because if you believe in science, then you believe that our consciousness, whatever you are experiencing, is coming from your brain. It's coming from your neurons and all the electrical impulses that are creating whatever it is that you experience. And that follows the laws of physics. And this is what they are trying to figure out with looking for answers in the atomic world and looking at telescopes. But we don't know. Nobody knows. What we know is that we exist right now, here. Nothing else exists. There's no past and there's no future. And there is all that we've learned until now that made us who we are and made all of society the way they are. You can see it out of groups of people that believe different things just because they were born in different places. If you were born the same person, but in a different country, you would already be a different person just because you would speak a different language. And that's the basis of what you believe you are. You believe you are something because you believe you are that culture that you grew up with, that you are that idea of being Portuguese, of being English, American, or any idea. It's just something that you believe in so strongly because you have been told that that is reality, and that you have to wake up and go to work and pay the bread and then pay your shirts. The idea that our money is very chic and very expensive, and it's
Made in China.
an idea of status, right? That you are better than the others because you have an Armani or something like that, or a Ferrari. Money is the instrument of corruption in our world. Money is something that is used and has been used and has been useful, but it is not the best we can do. Because right now our society, and I'm talking about the whole world, our planet, is making choices and taking decisions to make more money. Not to make people's lives better, but to make more money. And these people who have the power and they have the money and the influence to influence the thoughts and how people believe, what people believe, these are the people who control the world. And we are not going in a direction that is a very good direction for us that are here and have absolutely no control over what is happening. We have a person that is exactly the same as us. He was born on this planet, but somehow his experiences led him to be the dictator of Russia in this moment. And that person holds in his hand the future of humanity. And this should not be allowed. It simply should not be allowed that any one person or any person has this type of power. And I'm not talking only about this type of power. Any type of power that controls the way people think they're free. Because you believe you're free, but in the end you're not, because you are slaves. And we are all slaves, enslaving other humans. And we are lucky because we are born in Europe. Well, I'm not sure if everyone here is born in Europe, but here in Europe, we are lucky. But only lucky because we have the perception of being lucky, because of this idea of borders and armies that keep protecting us and enslaving the rest of the world. Because to live the way we live, a lot of people have to suffer. A lot of people have to go through hell every day. And not just now. It's been like this since the Egyptians. There are these kinds of people who somehow gain control over the minds of the people who are beneath. Since the Egyptians, they have techniques of control. Some of them are religion, for example. They control the masses because they give them a guide and they give them a way to live. But this is not freedom. Even though they think they are free, and they even think they are free to believe in what they are told is true. So what I'm trying to say here is that ideas sometimes are difficult to understand because they are completely out of the scope that you are living in right now. And if I ask you to imagine a world where there is no money, it's difficult for you to understand. But if you see this, maybe this could happen. If you believe in this, maybe this could happen. We don't need people to be slaves. The technology that we have right now in our planet is much more than enough to solve any problem that we have on our planet right now. All the problems that we have in our planet are technical. Engineers can solve problems. Scientists, doctors, people who know the language of science, they can really understand what is the problem and solve it. The only reason why we don't do it is because either the problem is not profitable or the solution is not profitable. Or maybe the problem is profitable and so we don't solve it. Like cancer or tobacco, you know. So I'm going to show you a video, another one, of what is a resource-based economy, because I believe that we have the possibility to go in the direction of this society. Who here knows what is Star Trek? Okay, 2 people, that's not so bad. But in the future, there are no borders. Like the same, there were no borders in the past. We created them. We created all this inequality in the world because of the way that we have accepted our world. We keep accepting them. We accept the laws that we are put in front, that are put in front of us. We accept the politicians. We accept democracy. When we know that we vote for someone that will go to power, but then he has to still follow the rules of an economy that they cannot escape from. Because those are the rules of the game that we're playing. But if we don't do something, then we continue the way we are. And if we continue the way we are, we will destroy ourselves. Because we are doing that. Capitalism is destroying the planet. If we don't destroy ourselves with atomic bombs, we will destroy ourselves by killing all the fish or destroying all the forests. This is what is happening. Our way of life is the reason why we are destroying our planet. We have this illusion of scarcity in our planet, but we don't need scarcity. Scarcity is an idea that was implanted in our heads because money is what we use to buy things, and money is what is used to make us slaves. Money is what is used to give us all sorts of illusions. We think that money is going to give us purpose. We think that money is going to give us happiness and freedom. Money is nothing in reality. It's a piece of paper or a digit in a computer that we accept as having value. And all of us accept that this value it allows us to buy beer. But the beer is what we want. We don't want the money. We want beer. And access to the resources is not necessarily done with money. It's just done with access to it. And right now, for example, we think about unemployment in our society. It's rising everywhere for a very simple reason. We have automation in this world. We have robots working for us. But not for us, they're working to make more money for the people who own the robots, who believe they own the robots. And they own the iron and the nickel and all the resources that were made to make these robots. But these robots were made with resources from the planet and with the intelligence of intelligent scientists that made them. These are the things that move the world, ideas and people doing them. If you think that your incentive to work and to produce something for the world is money, then you have been influenced to think that. Because if there was no money and you were living in a farmhouse and the whole world was like in the beginning, like 200,000 years ago when our human species was emerged to existence and the universe became aware of itself as we are, there was no money. There was also no technology. Then we started thinking and how can we started to develop language, we started to develop the way of communication, then we started to have differences because other people in other villages had things that we didn't, and then we went to kill them. And this is going on for a very long time. But now we have the technology to have slaves that are not people, to have automatization all over our industry, to produce things with an efficiency that is not the way we are doing now. Right now, we create things to break Because capitalism needs things to break. Because if they don't break, people won't buy it. And if people don't buy it, the money won't circulate. And it doesn't work. We've seen it with COVID. If people don't work, this system doesn't work. Money and all this production circle is a very fallible idea. It was a very useful idea. I don't think it is a non-useful idea. I think it's useful, but I think that if we continue this way, we will destroy ourselves before the next 50 years. And it started already. Come on, we're in a war, man. There's a guy with a fucking finger on a trigger that can destroy the whole world. And this is us, all of us. But I'm not even talking about hunger. I'm not talking about all the problems in the world. But all these problems are technical problems that can be solved with abundance, without a thought of profit. So I'm going to show you what Jacques Fresco thought of for more than 50 years of his life. He was a social engineer and he was an inventor. And I really believe that his ideas can lead us into a direction that is not our destruction, that is something like Star Trek, where we are advanced technologically, where we are a scientific species that has no need for greed, no need for violence. Because if you go think about also the violence and all the people who we think are violent because they were born violent, but they were not born violent. They were born in a society that gave them an experience that made them become violent. Even their families probably abused them. There are studies about this. Most of the people who are incarcerated for murder were abused as children. They had a very difficult childhood and they went through life without the necessary needs of a human met. They were not held, they were not taken care of, they were abused. And then their perception of reality is completely different than another person that was born in a family that was taking care of them. So there's a lot of things that we can change just by changing the basis of what we are as a society. Anyway, here it goes. Open your minds.
Veritable blueprint for the genesis of a new world civilization based on human concern and environmental reclamation. It proposes a holistic social design in which automation and technology would be intelligently integrated to maximize the quality of life rather than simply profits.
Undesirable behaviors are products of long exposure to detrimental environments. If we wish to surpass the limitations of our present-day society, such as war, hunger, poverty, and bigotry, we need to make changes and arrange society very differently. Most of our problems today are technical, but we still look for solutions through political means in a monetary system.
We have the resources. Money is an interference because it limits our ability and it limits our dreams.
Modern society has access to highly advanced technologies and can make available food, clothing, housing, medical care, a relevant educational system, and at the same time develop a limitless supply of renewable, clean energy such as geothermal, tidal, solar, wind, and more.
The solutions lie in the intelligent and humane application of science and technology and more appropriate resource management in order to supply goods and services to everyone equitably, enabling the entire global population a very high standard of living.
We don't have enough money to accomplish this, but we do have enough resources. if we initiate what Jacques Fresco calls a resource-based economy. This is where all goods and services are available to everyone without money, credit, barter, or servitude of any kind. For this to be attained, all resources must be declared as the common heritage of all the Earth's people.
Imagine the possibilities of an unprecedented mobilization of scientific and technical alliances toward problem solving without the interference of money or politics to initiate global unification and restoration.
The Venus Project would start with a systems approach to city design, using highly effective construction methods, emphasizing the conservation of resources.
The first city would be a huge research center, making automated systems for the next city. It would be a place where we would disseminate information as to what sustainability really means for the future.
The aim of the city is to constantly maximize existing and future technologies with the sole purpose of enhancing all human life and protecting the environment.
The society I'm talking about is global cooperation, where all the nations work toward improving the lot of humankind. Now, why do that? Because the smarter people are, the richer and more secure everybody is.
We have the tools at hand to design and build a future that is worthy of the human potential. It is imperative that we continue the process of social experimentation in order to transcend our present limitations and truly create the beginning of a civilized age.
This is just an introduction. You can study what he has studied and tried to put in place for all his life, this guy. I think we are not yet civilized. Until there are people that we put in prison, there are people that we allow to die of hunger, and until we allow wars to happen, this is not civilization. This is us still playing a game of power, or a game of cavemen. But we are much more than that, and we can be much more than that. Any questions? Okay, go. American.
Starting off with the insult because you know.
It's not an insult, I just said you're American.
You are responsible.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I told you I was going to tear you apart.
Tear me apart.
I think this video looks like EU propaganda for the Great Reset.
This guy's American. But Venus is in Florida.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Well, okay, here's my question. Is who owns the... Who decides what is right to produce for the world?
Machines. Artificial intelligence. Scientists. There needs to be a transition to something like this. We can't do this tomorrow. It's impossible. The same way that we couldn't do what we are right now if we were thinking about it when the Egyptians were in power. But right now, we can go in that direction.
I think the question is, do we want to transition the world from a certain system into another system? Is this right? Or is actually the answer that there is no system and we need to give total freedom? If someone wants to live in a dictatorship, that's fine. If someone wants to live in a kingdom, that's fine. In capitalism, communism, that's totally fine. I think the plurality of all the options is the solution. So I don't think we should put humanity in another system. The answer is to remove patterns and dogma. So that's why I understand what Jay said.
I understand also. But what I was talking about is you can choose to be in a kingdom, you can choose to be in a dictatorship. Even though I don't think you can, because those people have no choice. But the resources of the planet and the way you manage them, this cannot be decided by someone that wants to be a dictatorship that has everything golden and super things, because simply it's not efficient. Simply it won't be enough for everyone. That's it. Resources.
But like the thing is, it's open market, you know. If you're not satisfied in a dictatorship, you choose another society, and in the end, it's just the power of the market which will bring out the best, maybe.
What about the resources?
Yeah.
It's funny because he's advocating for free markets here.
Yeah, free market.
No, I'm
But
advocating
which
for
market is
no
truly
market.
free?
Yeah.
Which market is truly free?
This one.
No. You can't. I mean, okay, so every single person will go and dig up his own oil and his own fuel?
No,
or
no,
set
no.
up his own electricity?
No, didn't you see the futuristic things?
But certain things
Like what?
Certain things cannot be
Automated?
truly free market. No. Electricity, you can't have 20 different. If you have, even if it's in one society, you have one energy provider, energy distributor, be it free or not free, it's still a monopoly or an oligopoly.
It doesn't
Certain
matter if it's
industries,
a monopoly.
certain industries
What
cannot
you-
be a truly free market.
What you want is to be free to live your life, whatever the way you want, and to have access to what
But
you
that's not a
want.
free market.
Free
market
of humanity, not in terms of
capitalism.
There is no market. There is access to resources. The market is an invention.
Yeah.
It's an invention we created to share and to exchange goods. But what we are doing with this market is creating a way to extract the resources using slaves as people and giving them some money and then making billions of money of whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this is just a game that was created. We can create another game. You know what I mean?
But my question still stands, which is that who decides what is produced? And you said the machines.
It's the scientific method. So if there is no water in a certain place in the planet, and there's people living there, we need to find the architects, the engineers that can get water there, or we can build a city where people can go and live in that city where there is water, and we can build it all around. Because the idea of having access to everything and everyone in the planet having access to abundance and to the possibility of being free is completely out of the scope of the society that we're living on right now. It's difficult to conceive of this because you conceive of a consumer. You're thinking as a consumer.
I'm just thinking as somebody that maybe doesn't want to eat GMO crops, but what if that's all that's produced? Then I'm going to have to pay somebody to...
Yeah, what's the alternative though? The alternative is that we continue the way we are and eventually the natural resources of our planet will end.
I don't think that money is the problem. I think
It's not money.
I think it's a symptom.
Money is the corrupted problem because it corrupts the governments. It corrupts the people who make these decisions. It corrupts. Why do you think that cigarettes are legal and weed is not? Some people decided it. And cigarettes kill millions of people. They kill more than COVID. You don't see the daily cigarette report on news every day. This is the invisible hand of someone that is controlling the law and therefore controlling all of us.
So should we be focusing on stopping people from changing laws rather than taking out money?
I think that changing laws is going to be part of the transition. But I believe that if people live and are born with this, how do you call it?
Connection.
No, manipulation. It's not manipulation. It's the conditioning. Yes, the conditioning that we are victims of is not our choice. And someone decided this conditioning. We are conditioned by whatever is happening since we are born. Even before we are born, even before when we are in our mother's belly, we are conditioned by the environment. And if we change that, because that is the cause of all the problems that we need laws for. If we change that, in 50 years, the children that are born today will have completely different views of the world, in which there are no borders, in which we are all equal, and which our planet's resources are equal for everyone. There's people who are really dying of hunger. Man, this is something that for me is incredible. It's not fair. Just because we exist, and they exist, but we, for some reason, think we are entitled to be able to go to this place and buy a beer and have heating and have houses, but it's just luck. It's just because you are here. Any more questions? Or are we ready to go drink our Wednesdays?
So we collected 130 euros. So there are 100 euros inside here, and we will send the other 30 euros to you. That's 4 people, not just 4. And now we can talk a bit and try to be positive now.
Yes.
You paid to be depressive.
To be or not.